Hello everyone, this is Saurabh Maurya and welcome to our channel Lingualite Capital. Dear friends, in this lecture we have a discussion on Introduction to Neurolinguistics. What is neurolinguistics? When we come to the term neurolinguistics with the name, we can assume that the term neurolinguistics deals with the neural mechanisms that are involved in language processing in the human brain. Means what are the neural mechanisms that are involved in the processing of language in human brain. That is, the study of that thing is known to be the neurolinguistics. Or also here we have another definition of neurolinguistics, which is that it deals with the relation of language and communication to different aspects of a brain function. What does this mean? Means that when a person, this is the person A and this is the person B, when a person speaks something, then in a general way we only say this that he is able to produce the language. But when we think about that, how that person is able to produce the language, then this comes under this psycholinguistics. Means what are the cognitive roles that played in the language processing of that person. But when we talk about that how that language is processing, means there are some person who has a problem with the in the language processing, then what can be problem for that person. Suppose that the person A has the issues in the producing the language of the vowel sounds, and he has the also some consonant sound. So we directly say that he has a maybe that he has some problem or some godly power, something like that. But this is not sure and the right answer for this one. Actually, he has some problems, some neural problems that involves in the processing of the language, which are absent. Okay, means there may be the some there may be any kind of the aphasia also, any kind of the stroke or the any damage point in his brain. So when we talk about the neurolinguistics means that it deals with the study of the neural mechanism in human brain, in the sense what mechanisms are involved during processing of our language in the human brain. We study of all these processes, all these mechanisms under the neurolinguistics. One more point, must remember that when a person speaks something and when a person receiving that language, means if person A say any word and person B receiving that word, then there we think this that there is no any differences. I'm saying that word directly and he is listening my word directly. Yeah, but this is not actually what happens here. There is a gap between a person who is a speaker and a person who is a listener or the receptor. There is a gap between the when a person speaks any of the word and when a person listens, hear any of the the same word, then there is a gap of the 100 to 150 millisecond. Okay, so never think that if I produce any language, then that person is directly taking receiving my language. That person is, there is a gap of the 100 and 150 millisecond of the gap between the speaker A and the receiver B. The next theme is that what are the views of our, or what are the views of us for the language system. How do you understand the language and how do a linguist understand the language? According to a general person, he understands a language as the system of the communication between the two people or in a community or anything. But when we come to a linguist, then according to a linguist, a language is not just a matter of the stringing the symbols that or convey to them meaning. According to a linguist, a language is governed by a complex set of rules that is known as the grammar. Okay, means you can speak the words anyhow, and there is no any the right arrangement of that word. But when a linguist speak the same word, then you will find that there are differences between a linguist language and a general person's or common person language. Next, a question which is asked many times by the students, that what are the differences between neurology and neurolinguistics? Actually, the term neurolinguistics came after the 1940 to 1950. Before it, we had only the neurology, but after 1940 to 1950, we had a new term, that is neurolinguistics. What is neurology? When we come to neurology, neurology deals with the study of how the brain is structured and how it functions, while in neurolinguistics we deals with the study of how language is structured and function. Okay, it means that when we come to the neurolinguistics, neurolinguistics deals with the study of how language is structured in and function in the brain. Here we can see here that we have the structure of the brain, which is the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. Almost when we talk about the linguistics phenomena, then in linguistics, the human brain that is differs from that of the other is specific by having a region that is dedicated to the language alone. This is the part which is known to be the left hemisphere. In the vast majority of the people, the language is situated in the left hemisphere. Means we can say that near 80% of the peoples have the language system in their left hemisphere, and about 20% of the left-handed people has the language system in the right hemisphere. Means normally we can say that a person who has the language faculty in his left hemisphere, he works with the right hand, and a person who is working with the left hand, he has the language system that is present in the right hemisphere of his brain. Okay, next here we have given that neurolinguistics became the established term under the influence of Noam Chomsky after the 1940 to 1950. What are the differences between the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere? In left hemisphere, articulation of the language are involved. The comprehending the language means how do we comprehend in the language, how do we understand the language, and the word recognition. What are the word? If there is any word, then we have in the left hemisphere is responsible to understand or recognize that word. When do we talk about the right hemisphere? Right hemisphere involved in the processing of the recognizing tone, rhythm, stresses and the tone, recognizing the speaker, recognizing the gesture. Okay, this is the left hemisphere, and this is the right hemisphere. Right hemisphere especially has 20% of the people's language are depend on the right hemisphere, while 80% 80% of people's language is present in the left hemisphere of his brain. What are the main language area? When do we talk about the main language area? The language processing occurs mainly in the Broca's area. here we talk about when we come to the language processing. This occurs mainly in the Broca's area and the Wernicke's area. But when we come to the broadly speaking words that are comprehended by the Wernicke's area, at first means that if any person say any word or the sentences, then it first comes to the Wernicke's area, and which was then articulated by the Broca's, a thick band of the tissues that called. Here we have a tissue, thick band of tissue. Its name is arcuate fasciculus, and these connects these two areas. The arc means arcuate fasciculus connects these two areas, and the Wernicke's area, this is surrounded by the area which is known as the Gascoigne's territory. When a person hears a spoken word from the Wernicke's area, that is matches the sound to their meanings, and after that a special neurons that is in a Gascoigne's territory are thought to assist by combining the different properties of the words like sound, sight and meaning, and it provides the full comprehension. When a speaker or when a person speaks something, then the process happens reverse, means it in Wernicke's area he finds the correct words to match the thought that is to be expressed, and after that the chosen words is passed through the Broca's area with the there is a this is tissue which is known to be the arcuate fasciculus. And when in Broca's area the viva the arcuate fasciculus, and after that Broca's area then turns the words into the sounds by moving the tongue. Okay, so this was all about the main language area, means that when a person speaks something, then at first this was assessed by the Wernicke's area, and after the giving the process of the thought and something that it goes through with the tissue that is known to be the arcuate fasciculus through the to the Broca's area, where Broca's area decides that what language should be provide, what language should we do, should we use. Okay, so here as we one of the point that between these two there we have the corpus callosum, must remember this point. Next we have the language problem. Language problem in the sense that what kind of the problems do we have to face during processing the language. The first one is that we have the case that of the stuttering. When we come to stuttering, either we say stuttering or also we can say stammering. About only 1% of the case we have that is is in the case of the stuttering, means if we have the 100%, then only in 100 we have only 1%, that is only 1% have the case of the stuttering. But in 1% there is especially, or we can say mainly 75% are men. Only 2.5% are the cases that has the stuttering case case in the female character. Okay, what when the case of stuttering begins, it begins between the age of the 2 and the 6. And what are the treatment for the stuttering, which is the speech therapy and brain activity. What happens in the speech therapy and the brain activity? Actually, they give some of the words to recall, something like that, and they daily do make them the practice that how should they speak, what the words they have lost, and what are the words to which they have issue in the pronunciation of that word. In speech therapy and brain activity, they just make it clear. Next, we have the famous term, that is aphasia. What is aphasia? When we come to aphasia, aphasia means that if we have some injury in our brain, either with stroke or anything, or if any part of our brain is damaged with any stroke or in an accident or anything else, then we lost our words, means we lost our language and the communication, which do we study under the aphasia. Aphasia is, as we have mentioned here, aphasia is generally associated with brain injury which affects the brain's area's language depending upon the types of a damage the area affects. In this lecture, we will not discuss a lot of aphasia. There are so many kind of aphasia. Here we have studied in detail something a little and also a little bit, but we will study only the what are the language area that are affected, and in my next lecture I will discuss the all kind of aphasia that are involved in the language processing, and also we will discuss its treatment. So aphasia, we have total the 6 principles in the aphasia that we will study. What are the language that affect the areas? First one is the first principle is known to be the protection. Aphasia, that damage to the Broca's area, means frontal lobe, inability to articulate words or string them together. If words can be uttered, then they tend to be verbs or nouns with abnormal tone and the rhythm. In this sense, they lost the words they sing, but they say something like that. They use only the nouns and the pronouns, something like adjective, but they don't use the verb and the they don't they are not able to use the noun and the verb. They used to I, me, my, something like that. Okay, when we come to the conduction, in the next principle, conduction. In conduction, aphasia, damage to link between the Wernicke's and the Broca's area, means there is a tissue that is known to be the arcuate fasciculus that helps in carry that information from Wernicke's area to Broca's area. He lost speech errors including substituting the sounds, but good comprehension and fluent speech protection. Okay, means he can speak anything. Because there is no any connection between the Wernicke's and the Broca's area, so he will be speak fluently, but there is no any clear cut meaning of that word. Next, which is only with the global aphasia. One, we talk about the global aphasia that is the widespread damage, general defects in comprehension, repetition, naming and the speech protection. Automatic phrase may be separate. Next, known to be the transcortical sensory aphasia, that is damage to the temporal occipital parietal junction, which is the frontal lobe, below the frontal lobe. Inability to comprehend, name, read and write with the abnormal ability to recite the previously learned passage. Next one is the fifth principle, that is a transcortical motor. What is transcortical motor? Aphasia that damage around the Broca's area, the frontal part. Good comprehension but non-fluent speech, often limited to words at a time, that suffice to repeat the words and the phrases. Next and last, we have that aphasia that damage to the Wernicke's area, which is known to be the sensory. Inability to the understand language, often combined with general comprehension problems and lack of the awareness of own deficiency. Next and last topic we have in this lecture, that is the language genes. Actually, in our brain, hundreds of genes combine to make language possible, but one gene in particular is associated with the normal development of speech and language, which is known to be the FOXP2 gene. This is a gene that develops or helps to connect the many brain areas that work together to produce the fluent speech. People with a particular mutation on this gene have a condition that is known as childhood apraxia. Childhood apraxia. Apraxia. When we come to the childhood apraxia of speech, those affected have problems producing words and in some cases may also have a difficulty in understanding the speech. Actually, the genes that we have FOXP2, this genes is also present in the animals, I mean human as well as animals, and the gene FOXP2 involves in the language processing. There are 100 of the genes in our brain, but still one gene that is attached with or that had a connection with all the areas of the brain. Okay, so must remember this point. And one more thing, that when we do any kind of the action, this doesn't mean that we directly do. Actually, we have the neurons, we have some certain kind of the hormones that are involved in the making possible to all those actions. Okay, so for this lecture, it's I hope it's enough, and also I hope that this lecture will help you much more. Okay, thank you for watching this video. Thank you so much.